Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 fragrances that I wore this last winter. Winter's coming to an end, so it's a good time to talk about these fragrances, so stay tuned for that. And if you like fragrance reviews, top 10s lists, first impressions, and cologne comparisons, hit that subscribe button for more great content. So as I mentioned, winter's coming to an end, we're moving into spring, and the one thing I do tend to think about with fragrances is what the weather's doing. And that all is because, one time I wore Spice Bomb when it was like 90 degrees Fahrenheit out, and suffice it to say, I almost choked myself out. I think since then I have definitely paid a little bit of attention to weather, so a lot of these fragrances will not get much wear unless I know for a fact I'm going to be inside a nice climate-controlled environment. But some of these will definitely get some more wear coming up. But I thought it'd be nice to sort of close out the winter, especially, I guess we had an unusual winter with all the lockdowns, but to close it out and to sort of talk about and celebrate my favorite fragrances that I was wearing. So the first one, this isn't really a winter fragrance, and I just got it, so I'm sure that's partially why I wore it a bunch of times recently. It is fairly versatile, and of course it was nearing the end of winter, so the weather was warming up, plus I was inside a lot, and that's Allure Sport. Now this is not the Oak Stream, this is just the regular Allure Sport. I find, at least for me, that the Oak Stream has a little too much tonka or something. It's too over the top. But this one I actually really enjoy. It has this beautiful orange, slight bit zesty, and it has this sort of like creamy undertone that moves into a really nice kind of meringue vibe, and then finally a nice creamy dry down. Very versatile, easy to wear pretty much any time you want. Definitely a little bit better in spring, summer, fall, maybe not so much in winter. It's not the best in the projection category, so if it is really cold out, this is one that might get a little bit choked out, but it is a really nice one, and even if you've tried the Oak Stream, it is still worth getting your nose on this one, in my opinion, because me, like a lot of people, I prefer this one over the Oak Stream. Now, next one. I have talked about this one a few times, and it is one that I actually really enjoy. I finally put a little bit of a dent in it this year, and that is Saddle by Svensk Parfum. So, starting to see a little bit of a dent there. This one is from a Swedish company, I believe. Svensk, and this is named after basically a saddle, and it is a leather fragrance. Now, it is a sweet leather fragrance, and one thing I like about it though is that it's different. So there's a lot of raspberry leather fragrances ever since Tuscan leather really came along. There's a lot of things that have really been inspired by it or just outright copied it, but I do like leather fragrances, and this is different. It's different because it has butterscotch, and to me this is actually a bit of an overdose of butterscotch. So on my skin, definitely the strongest note is the butterscotch, but there is also this really nice, rich, supple leather that, especially once you smell it a little more, you can really discern it, because it is, the butterscotch is very prominent, but this nice high quality leather that is designed to be like a high quality saddle leather, which is a very nice kind of leather that they use for those type of things, does definitely peek its head out and is definitely quite prominent as well. So if you do like leather fragrances and you can get a sample of this one, I definitely do recommend trying it out. I think I got a sample at first from, totally forgotten the name of the place now, Crystal Fragrances. So I think she has samples available. You can also get them straight from the website. Depending on the exchange rate, it might actually be cheaper to order things directly from the site. When I ordered this bottle, I did get it from the site because the exchange rate worked out to be cheaper than buying the bottle at Crystal. Next one, Musk Oud. This is my luxury formal occasion extraordinaire fragrance. I mean, this is so strong too. Like, even just from the nozzle over here, I can smell this one. This is a beautiful, musky, boozy rose fragrance with a bit of a woody undertone. It's not really an oud fragrance in my opinion, but it is absolute luxury. Now, obviously there haven't been that many formal occasions that I've been going to this winter, but you know what? I broke this one out sometimes even when I was just going to the post office, because I do like to wear what I have, and this is a brilliant fragrance. And of course, if you do want people to smell you through a mask, this one is definitely going to do it. One of the strongest fragrances that I own for sure. Absolute beast. And I mean, if you like this sort of slightly fresh, clean, musky vibe with a boozy, a little bit sharp, sweet, rosy vibe with a little bit of a woody undertone, this is a great one to try out. And this is one from Kilian that I don't see a lot of people talking about, but I know that a lot of people do love it. And so it's an underrated gem for sure. Next one, needs no introduction at all. Ombre Leather. I actually think I'm getting to about, it's hard to know, but I think I'm about halfway through on this. This is the first leather fragrance I really, really enjoyed. I think it's the easiest leather fragrance to like. There's not much to say about this that hasn't been said, but very nice. It's nice suede-like leather. A little bit sweet on that opening. Very high quality, and even if you don't like leather, I would recommend giving this one a try because I think it's the gateway leather fragrance, in my opinion. Next one is also another Kilian. Wore this a couple nights. I did manage to get out to the bar a couple times with some friends. And this is an ultimate night out fragrance in my opinion, especially for colder weather. It's really, really good for that. Very boozy, a lot of vanilla. I mean, the big difference between this one, booziness, and the vanilla is amped up to the absolute max. It does give it a little bit of a seductive vibe, and that's one reason why I think it is great for nights out. The woody elements of this one are really toned down, or they get a lot more drowned out by the booziness and the vanilla. So that is the big difference for me with Straight to Heaven. The regular Straight to Heaven I find is way woodier. And I like them both. But I find this one is really nice for an evening out, whereas Straight to Heaven is a little bit more versatile. This one is more specialized. But a very good one. I mean, it needs no introduction. And actually, I was going to mention this. I don't know if I had mentioned it in a previous video. I heard that this one is coming back, and it's coming to the permanent collection. So Straight to Heaven Extreme will be available whenever you want to get it, and it won't be so hard to find, and the price won't be so insane. Now, it might be, it probably will be higher than Straight to Heaven, but you won't have to pay someone secondhand, and sometimes, they charge a lot of money if it's been discontinued. The next one that I did also just recently get, Single Malt. Now, I didn't wear this one a ton, but I did actually wear it a ton considering how short amount of time I had it. So I did get this towards the end of winter. And to me, this is the best really boozy fragrance from Kilian. I mean, obviously there's other really great fragrances that have boozy notes, but the booze forward alcohol one, this is my favorite one, has this really nice vibe that actually comes off a little bit more like rye whiskey to me than an actual single malt whiskey. And it has a plum note in it, so that's a big thing. It definitely has a very similar vibe to apple brandy, but that is something that definitely sets it apart, in my opinion, is that plum note, which works really, really nicely, and it does have a bit of a woody base. It gives you the impression of that cask, and it's just really, really well done. Performance is pretty good on this one. Get around that 8-hour mark, and it's one that you can spray slightly more liberally because it's not a beast mode fragrance. It's something that's just sort of envelops you in a nice cloud, a nice sillage. I usually go one extra spray on this one, so I still don't go crazy on it, but it is one that it's not overpowering, it's not overly thick, it's not overly in your face. So Single Malt, if you haven't tried that one out, I definitely recommend it. It is one of the best boozy fragrances ever. It's my favorite boozy booze fragrance from Kilian. Now the next one needs no introduction as well. Italica. I love this one, and I'm so happy to have a bottle. And they recently changed the bottle. So I have one of the felt ones. This is the old version of the bottle. This is the second version. The older version, which I've had before, also has a face here. So it's a slightly different crest on it. I understand the reason why, in my opinion, they changed it. I know for a fact that these bottles with the felt leaked fairly frequently. I had a bottle previously that leaked. It ruins all the felt. And, it stains the tassel red, and, it's just, I think ergonomically, it's a lot more trouble than it's worth. And it always, makes quality control questions when that kind of stuff happens. So in order to deal with that, they changed the packaging. At least that's why I think they did it. They said they've done it for other reasons, and maybe it is partially because it is more environmentally friendly, the way they've decided to do it. It still looks pretty nice, I will admit. I like the felt more, but it is very impractical. If this gets wet at all, it's ruined. But anyways, if you don't know this one, you should try it out if you get the chance and you like gourmand. Beautiful opening of this slightly strawberry, dry, almond biscuit kind of a vibe that moves into a very milky, creamy, sensual, almondy vibe. And, you know, it's just amazing. Very, very nice. Very long lasting. Sillage King, so it doesn't project like crazy, but when someone gets in your bubble, they get a whiff because it's quite thick. Somebody gave me a nice comment. They said, you know, how it smelled like Japanese treats or Japanese dessert, which I think is nice because I always found Japanese candy or dessert treats to be good in the sense that they're not overly sweet. They have a little bit of sweetness to them, but not overly sweet. This one is definitely sweet, but it's not cloying. And the next one, I'm actually happy that I've definitely given this one more wearings. I know I was a little critical of this one when I reviewed it, and that's Cognac Cafe. It is one I actually really, really enjoy. I know I mentioned, yes, there is some similarity to Black Phantom. It's a similar kind of fragrance, same perfumer, but it definitely does its own thing. I find it to have this really nice, really enjoyable sweetness, especially in the air. And I find the more I wear this one, the less I get that sort of celery vibe that I talked about initially in the review. But it definitely has a very heavy coffee in it as well. Really, really nicely done. This, at least so far, I have to review the rest of Ash's fragrances, but this is definitely my favorite. But there's some good ones in there too, or other ones that anyways I personally do enjoy. But this is definitely my favorite one. So Cognac Cafe, you know, if you haven't tried this one out and you like things like Black Phantom, you like coffee fragrances, get a sample of that one. You'll probably enjoy it as well. The next one on the list, none other than by Kilian, Angel's Share. So if you do watch the channel, you know already I love Kilian. Probably my favorite niche brand, maybe my favorite fragrance brand of all time. I love the presentation. I love a lot of the fragrances, and this one, absolutely amazing. This is one that actually is getting better and better every time I wear it, which is always a good sign. I'm liking it more and more every time I wear this one. Now, I will say, as I've always said, yes, this one is not the most original fragrance in the world. It's got that apple pie DNA for things like Wajan, Ombre Narguil, Rosé All Day. There's a lot of fragrances that do share that. But this one is done really masterfully, and it is different than those other fragrances. So this one, you know, the cognac, to me, it gives it a really nice appley vibe, which definitely sets off that apple pie DNA, really gives that feel. And there's just this beautiful cinnamon profile. I do find it a little bit boozy in the opening. It is actually a little bit boozy. And I think it's one that just, like I said, it's getting better every time I wear it. It's a little bit sensual. It's exciting. It's got that wow factor, even for being, you know, something that's not super unique. It is different, and it is masterfully crafted. So I really enjoy this one. And yeah, it's great. So if you do like that apple pie DNA, if you like boozy fragrances, Angel's Share is a great one to try out. And the last on the list, none other than my so-called signature scent, Creed. This is Creed Viking. Probably the only Creed I'll ever own. Probably. Don't know for sure. But this one, of course, I do really like this one. And it is a little bit fresh, but it's also spicy. It's got this nice mint, so it has this clash between spicy, fiery, and cooling and refreshing of the mint. And I think it works really, really well. As I've mentioned before, this one to me is sort of a modern take on like the barbershop DNA. It's got that sort of spicy, fresh barbershop vibe to it. And it also has rose in it, which is really nice to see rose done really well in a masculine fragrance. So a lot of rose fragrances, you know, they're either unisex or, to me, I don't really like them. Like, I love Toy Boy. I think it's actually really well done, but I also think it's a fairly unisex fragrance. This one is a little bit more on the masculine side, especially because it does, to me, again, fit into that traditional category, but it is just a really, really well done fragrance that is probably my favorite Creed, to be honest with you. I heard they're coming out with a Creed Viking cologne. I'm only semi-excited. You know, I don't want to get too excited because I don't know how good it will actually be. You know, I wasn't a big fan of Aventus Cologne, but I'm also not a big fan of Aventus. So we'll see. I will try that one out for sure. I'm hoping it's good, but time will tell, of course. Anyways, guys, you know what? I'm going to cut the video right there. Leave me a comment down below. What did you wear the most, or a couple fragrances that you really enjoyed wearing this winter? And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.